We'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Gangster Chronicles podcast. I can't say I'm with my co-host tonight. Eiht is handling some business and will be back with us next week. But you know what, though? I do have a special guest in the house tonight, man. You know, we have a habit, man, of throwing this term, this word legend around just real loosely. I hear it just given to anybody to the point of this watered down, but we have a real live legend in here with us tonight. My boy Rahiem from the Furious Five. What's happening, bro?
What it is, bro? How you?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Just glad to have you up in this piece with me, man. Just chilling, man. You doing your thing. I appreciate you, man. Coming to just chop it up for a spell with your partner, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
For sure, man. You know, we've been talking a lot, man, over the past few weeks, man, and that's why I was really looking forward to doing this episode. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I'm actually kind of glad I get to just ask all the questions I want to ask. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause when you have a co-host, you have to be kind of courteous. You know what I'm saying? And let them get their questions in and stuff. So right. I'll be able to just get, you know, everything that's on my agenda off. I got my own agenda tonight, you know?
Facts. Let's go.
So, man, you are originally from the Bronx.
Born and raised, yep.
Born and raised, and you got to kind of see, or I ain't gonna say kind of, you got to see, because you know, they've been making hip-hop records. People been rapping on records, man, for a long time. You know, I think longer than what's on record, kind of.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The hip-hop culture in the Bronx arguably started in 1973 when DJ Kool Herc gave a little party for his sister. It was like a Sweet 16 party for his sister. But it turned out to be a much bigger deal than what he imagined. And so from then, that kind of, you know, put him in the party circuit. And Kool Herc, although he's Jamaican, he didn't really flop or like adhere to Jamaican culture when he came from Jamaica to the Bronx. You know, he came from Jamaica to the Bronx in the 60s, and his dad was a DJ. And so his dad used to forbid him to like mess with his record collection. But when his dad wasn't home, he'd go in his pop's record collection, and instead of playing the reggae music, he played the funk music. So he liked artists like James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, Graham Central Station, you know, that sort of thing. And so he began to develop a playlist, and his playlist basically developed as a result of B-boys and B-girls going to his jams, and he noticed that they would react every time the break parts and these records would come on. They would get in a circle and do these dances.
You know, that's an interesting point that you bring up, his heritage, bro. Because right now, you know what the big debate is, you got a lot of brothers out online arguing about who started it, right? You know, because of course, you know, we all know that this is black culture, you know, a part of black culture and something that we created, right?
Right.
But now you have a contingency of people that are like, no, this wasn't started by no Jamaicans, no Spanish people, this is all us. You were there in the beginning, man. Who kicked this thing off, man?
So, all right. So first of all, you know, as people of color, you know, they push a lot of powers that be push a lot of agendas off on us and have us believing certain things that aren't historically true. Like, all black people do not come from Africa. This planet was a black planet. And that's why if you search the ancestry of every ethnic group of people outside of black people, they got black people in their damn history. You know what I mean? So we was all over the place, including the Americas. And in fact, California has the oldest Black Native American population thing in history. the Califians. That's where the name California actually comes from.
Yeah, the Califians, you know, shout out to my homeboy, man, Tariq Nasheed. He told me that. I just learned that maybe about a month ago.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And so, you know, when it started, you know, obviously there's Black Spanish speaking people, just like there's non-Black Spanish speaking people, right? And so it's hard to distinguish, you know, who's who at a party if everybody's Black, right? So with regards to Latins in the beginning, Latins, they were there, you know, they were there in the beginning, but there weren't a lot of Latins at the jams in the 70s, because during that time, Blacks and Puerto Ricans, we ain't really rocked together like that. You know, if you saw Blacks and Puerto Ricans hanging out together, usually it was because the Puerto Ricans were outcasts from their culture or shunned from their culture, you know, or maybe had some family issues and didn't rock with their people for a little while, and Black culture resonated with them to some degree, so they had Black friends, but that wasn't the norm, at least not in my hood. You know? And you know, throughout, I traveled all over the Bronx. There was no part of the Bronx that I didn't go, or that, you know, or that we couldn't go because that territory was, you know, was too dangerous or whatever. Even like there was a Little Italy in the Bronx in the 70s. And if you was Black and you walked through Little Italy, even in the daytime, like you was taking your life in your own hands. You know what I mean? And that was walking distance from my hood. But if we wanted to go to the shopping area that wasn't far from our hood and we was walking, that's how we got there. You know what I mean? So, but so to answer your question, the Puerto Ricans, they were there, but and you know, the Caribbean people, Jamaicans, you know, Haitians, you know, Colombians, all of the people that are there now were probably there in the beginning, but they were not practitioners. They were onlookers. They were spectators. They were watching, observing, and learning to be practitioners eventually. They were not the innovators. We were the innovators. You know what I mean?
You was there, man. I don't think nobody can argue that, because you were actually there.
Yeah, we influenced them, and then afterwards they took the torch and they ran with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
what do you think about this debate that's going on right now?
Well, I'm actually a part of it on the side of you know, the young Black America, because I was there, and there are a contingency of people like Fat Joe, KRS-One, Pete Rock, Crazy Legs, from the Rocksteady crew. Respectfully, you know, they're all my legendary brothers. I have love and respect for all of them. But with regards to the statements that they're making about the history of our culture, they are incorrect. And, you know, some people have an issue with being corrected. They take that very personally. And, you know, my legendary brother, Lord Jamar, asked, you know, publicly if we could have, you know, a little round table discussion to clear the air, you know, put the animosity, you know, aside, and just have a grown man discussion amongst the hip hop community to correct our history, because it's our history. And if we don't tell it right, you know, somebody else gonna tell it, you know? So there's a lot of urban legends, you know, and embellishments going on about the history of the culture and how it started. And, I don't like to get into the habit of calling any of my legendary brothers and sisters liars. So I'll say that, perhaps some of them, some of their memory is failing in there,
Yeah, it could be that their memories, getting a little jaded, man. And we ain't here to start no kind of drama or nothing like that, man. Because I do think that hip hop is all, music is for everybody to enjoy. But when it comes to telling those origin stories, we got to have the facts correct.
Right. I agree.
Got to have the facts in place.
I'm going to turn the light up a little bit, so the audience could see me a little better.
For sure, it's all good. Do your thing, man.
Nah.
Do your thing. Oh, there we go, right there. Yeah. You were sitting in the dark before, brother. You were sitting in the dark before, man. There we go. We good and go. Live and direct now. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all lit up, man. For our audio fans, my man just turned on the light, so don't think we on here just losing our mind, So, you were around the Bronx in the 70s, man, when there was a lot of stuff going on. You had the fires that was going on over there where people were burning down the apartment buildings.
It was gangs.
Gangs running around there. Let's touch on that a little bit, man, because out here on the coast, this is the, I think LA and Chicago, man.
Gang capital.
Gang capitals of the United States, prospectively, I think Chicago might have got cracking a little bit earlier than the West Coast, actually.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
But the gangs on the East Coast, man, they were a lot different. It wasn't about it. Was it gangs that's signed by borough or something like that?
Well, yeah, the gangs were not assigned necessarily by borough. Being a gang from a particular borough was just a circumstance, that's just where you live. But really, it was more like your neighborhood. You represented your neighborhood, and your neighborhood could take up, a few square blocks or whatever. But the largest gang in New York City in the 70s and 80s or period, the largest gang in New York City was the Black Spades. There were other gangs, but they didn't have, like the Black Spades had divisions, like how the army has divisions, the Black Spades had divisions. So the first division was from projects called Bronxdale houses, and that's where the legendary Disco King Mario comes from. And they were the ones who started the Black Spades. And then Bronx River houses, that's where Africa Bambaataa and his people came from. That's where the Zulu Nation started. Now the Zulu Nation actually started in 1977, 78. But some of them claim that they started in 1973. Bambaataa actually claims it started in 1973, but that's not the truth. He wants to rival Kool Herc historically, so that's why he makes that claim. But that's true. And so the gangs in New York City at that time, very territorial. They wore colors, not necessarily red and blue, but they wore, when I say they wore colors, they wore like jean jackets with their gang's name and logo on the back. If you was unlucky enough to go through their hood, they was gonna G-check you. And G-checking really hasn't changed, when I say G-check, y'all can relate because y'all do, that's what y'all do. I got that terminology obviously from y'all, but that's been going on here since forever. You know what I mean?
So they was passing out DPs back then.
Absolutely. And so, and it was hard to be neutral if you lived, you know, in a hood where any of the gangs were, because, you know, they was going to extort you.